So, hi, I'm Samar Beth. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm going to actually teach you some tips. So, get out pen and paper or your digital whatever, and I'm going to give you some tips to set up for success with networking on Owwll, but you can also use this on Owwll and then moving forward, taking it off of the app. So, these are going to be some tips that you probably think, oh, I know everything about networking. Well, you might hear something that you've never heard before. So, this is actually excerpts from my Networking Your Way to Wealth program, which I teach. And I've been doing this for a really long time, since I've been an event producer for almost 30 years. Networking is quite literally what you have to do in the event industry to get business. And then it all becomes referral bound. And the nice thing about Owwll is all referral based. So this just goes hand in hand beautifully. So here's some tips to set you up for success using the app. And this is basically to teach you to have intentional conversations while you're building a stronger network. And this is also big on community. Jason will tell you community is like your keywords. When I listen to Jason speaking, network, strong, community, intentional relationships. These are sending you business, referral, referral, referral. That's the whole point of this app. Am I right, Jason Hill?
Absolutely. I speak about it all the time. I built my whole financial service business off referrals and word of mouth and just networking and engaging and not sitting back waiting for others. I would always walk up to people at conferences, go to the bar, hang out with people, and just make opportunities. And that's, the backbone of Owwll, of course. It's making it easier and feeling confident to call someone that says, give me a ring. Here's the price I'm setting. And most importantly, it's not about the money that you're making on calls. People who fail at Owwll just think that it's about the money. Oh, I didn't make enough money in the month taking calls because they're laid back. Just call people. Don't even worry about taking calls. Build those opportunities outbound and you will be successful. And Samara's gonna
Exactly.
go into more detail on that, of
And this
course.
is going to be about you guys, okay? So I know we hear Jason, he kind of preaches and talks about this because he's so passionate about this app, but we also want to make sure the whole point and for having you stay as long as possible on this app years to come is to really get something out of it. So here's some tips, okay? So we're going to build out these different aspects throughout your conversations when you're talking to people. Okay. So first, the question is, who are you? Okay. Now, this might be information that you're putting into your profile, or it might be when you're speaking with the individual. Okay. So what's your given name? This seems like it's a no-brainer, guys. This seems like this is so obvious. It's so obvious, yet not obvious enough, to be honest. So I can't even tell you how many times somebody calls me and they don't introduce themselves to me. Okay. So what is your given name? What is your expertise and background in that one thing? And why do you do it? Okay. So we're going to talk about that 60-second commercial. This is something you can put in your profile, or you can use it when you're calling somebody. So Pat Quinn actually just taught this to me, and I'm part of the 10X Grant Cardone business coach. I'm a licensee certified business coach. I get certified in March when I go to Florida. And so I'm getting a ton of training through the Cardone program, which is incredible. I learned so much every minute of the day. So I'm teaching you some of the things that I've developed and then some of the things I've learned from experts that are partner with Cardone. So Pat Quinn, I just got off of a Zoom with him right before I got on this Zoom. It's so simple. It's so simple. You have to write it down. I help blank who struggle with blank. That's it. You don't want to go on and on and on and on, because then you're making it about you and not about them. And they're calling you, right? But it doesn't matter if you're the caller or the callee. Didn't make that word up. This is your 60-second commercial. And this is what you're going to say. They call it your elevator pitch, whatever it may be. I help blank who struggle with blank. So for example, I'll give you one of mine. I help businesses who struggle with producing and executing successful events and retreats. We have to admit, Laura, I help people who want to get paid to vacation. I help people who can't afford to go on vacation because they're always working and they can't afford to take their families. So I help them tie them together and make money while going on vacation. Okay. Okay. So the next is, so I want you to put in the chat right now. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Just put the word introvert or extrovert.
I think you know mine.
In the chat, are you an introvert or extrovert? Brian's an extrovert. SB is who? Who is that? What's your name? Aspire Junior.
It's Steven.
Steven. Hi, Steven. Nice to meet you. Okay, so Steven is an extrovert. Brian's an extrovert. DeMarcus is an introvert. Douglas is an introvert. Jason is an extrovert. So am I, Jason. Yeah, I'm part of the club. And then John is an intro. So this is beautiful because and I know Laura is an extrovert, even though she's not marking this. We all know Laura is an extrovert. So she's a 10x extrovert. So the interesting thing about this is many of you are here for an audio app. Now, some of you might have decided to join the audio app because you're an introvert and you don't want people to see you and you can hide behind the phone. And Brian, doesn't want to put his makeup on or do his hair. I get it. I get it. It takes Brian hours to get ready before he's on video. So you guys have such a benefit. Let me just tell you, and Jill and I, and Maribel, us women, we do not have it easy. Okay. So this is interesting to know. So I'm going to keep this information in mind. So the next thing is, so the first one was, who are you? I help blank who struggle with blank. This is where we're going to lead to. Okay. What do you do? What do you do for a living? How do you get to that certain position that you're in or where you want to be? Okay. Now, how do you do it? What makes your product or service a differentiator in the market? What sets you apart from others? What makes you better? What makes you different? And how do you stay focused on your company's vision? So how many of you actually own your own business with the show of hands? You're entrepreneurs, you own your own business, okay? And how many of you work for someone else? Work for someone else. Okay, so how many of you are out of work? Okay, I mean, it's a legitimate question since not everyone raised their hands. Okay, so whether you have a company vision and you own your own business, you will change that. We have changed. Jason, how many times have you changed your mission statement and your vision? Just give me a number.
Owwll is an example, at least 6 times in the last 2 years.
And that's normal. It is normal to change your vision and your mission or the direction that you're going in. It's called pivoting and it's normal. So don't let it stress you out. I just did it again. It happens. It's okay. What you're doing is you're not wasting your time. You're learning through your challenges how to get 237 changes in the mission. Thank you, Douglas, for being honest. Only 237 changes in Douglas's mission statement. And that's okay. That's called growth. That's building, right? So this is a good thing. So now what value do you bring? So how do you create time or money? Value is actually the most important thing. Your value proposition, and I teach this in my Paid to Vacation 6-week to launching your retreat program that I developed for people who want to do it themselves but learn how to do it. Value proposition is the most important thing. What is your value? What do you bring to the table? How do you help people? It's not about you, it's about everyone else. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. So the first one was, who are you? The second is, what do you do? The third is, how do you do it? Then it's, what value do you bring? Oh, here comes Paul. I admitted him. And the next one is, what are you looking for? What are your goals, professionally or personally? What are your goals? What are you looking for? And try to put a timestamp on it. What are you looking for to accomplish in the next 6 months, 12 months? I love that question. I don't know how many people have been on a job interview in their lives, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know, because I'll tell you right now, I've lived in 12 US cities, 1 Canadian province. I have never sat still. And for me to predict what's happening in 2 weeks is just as hard as me trying to predict where I'm going to be in 5 years. DeMarcus is laughing. He's obviously gotten that question many a time. DeMarcus, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Is it Brewster, DeMarcus? You have to unmute your mic. Is it Brewster?
I don't know, 5
Your last
years.
name?
I mean, I'm gonna be a successful podcaster. I'm gonna give my daughter her own talk show, like a 14-year-old daughter, right? She's in high school, AB student, but she wanted to be an entrepreneur. She said, "Dad, I like school, but I don't like college." So, her go to line and get her. She talked like me, so she gotta have me and her gonna have a talk show. I already got in my conscience a daddy daughter podcast. Like, I'm gonna be successful. I'm doing everything for my kids. Like me, I ain't in the picture no more. I'm here. But it's about my kids. Oh, I'm
That's
having
right.
set up. Like she already got the mind.
And that's beautiful. I love that. And you're talking to the right person, because my daughter, who's in the other room, I made her CEO of her how-to baking business at 9, and she's 14 as of yesterday or 2 days ago. And so I can help you with some of that. So
Can
what's
I say
interesting?
something?
Yeah.
Like I met a teacher. I met a teacher on Instagram, and she told me about the Raise Me app. How it's like the kids that get paid for their grades. My daughter, AB student. I put her on game with the app, and like a teacher told me, you can use for scholarship, entrepreneurship, however you want to use it, but you can use it. And she's like, "Dad, I download the app." So, like what I tell her, she listen to me because she already know how I think. Like when it like some stuff when I like kids, they play a lot. Like, and I love my daughter. I'm not getting the kid mode, but when I say something to her, she take hold of it. Oh yeah, she AB student, like very smart, wise to be her age. Just like her dad. But I'm done.
I love it. I love it. So I had a question. Is your first name Brewster, or is that your last name?
Oh no, Brewster is my last name. DeMarcus is my first name.
It is DeMarcus. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes,
People call me Samara all the time because they're not sure if it's my first or last name. People actually think Beth is my last name, but it's my middle name. Okay, so thank you for sharing that, DeMarcus, and that's a beautiful story. And so DeMarcus's story is a big part of his 60-second commercial, but he has to make sure he works on maybe, my suggestion would be just to kind of condense it a little bit, because you want to hear about the people that you're meeting and talking to too, right? So that's another tip that I have for you guys, is to make sure it's a back and forth conversation and it's not just you talking the whole time. Because when you're using the Owwll app, a tip would be, if someone's only getting your 10 minutes and 10 minutes is one person talking and that's it, time ran out, there isn't a give and take in that conversation. And so my suggestion would be to maybe make a couple statements and then end with a question. And sometimes I feel like I need to do that with the Owwll app, because there are a lot of introverts in the app. So if there's some dead silence or pregnant pauses, it's okay to have a pregnant pause, but maybe pregnant pause is good. 2 pregnant pauses, not great. So then you say, well, how about you? Do you have any children? And just kind of bring it into the ball in their court. Think of it as a tennis match. So the next thing is, so just to reiterate, we talked about, to go back for those like Paul and Laura who came in a little later, is we're talking about setting up for success. Okay, so this is the intentional conversation to build that strong network that we're looking to do on the Owwll app and the community, but also taking it offline. And we'll talk about that in a second. But this is about intentional relationships. And it's about building your business and helping others within, so that you know how to, Jason's always saying, you got to tell us what you do. You got to tell everyone what you do. Otherwise, how are we going to refer you? We don't know what you do. That's what your profile's for. But not everyone reads the profile. So you got to remember, not everybody reads the profile. What's the rudest thing someone can say to you? Oh, if you want to know about me, go check out my website. Time to check out your website. I talk to 100 people a day. Okay. If I'm on the phone with you, give me a little bit of information, right? Because I'm not going to check out your link tree. It's just not going to happen. I had a call like that today, just so you know, from the Owwll app. So it's, who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? What value do you bring? Your value proposition? What are you looking for? And what's your purpose? So I asked DeMarcus a little bit about his purpose. So, but that's his personal purpose. What is his business purpose? What's his company purpose? What's his company's why? Or you can also understand your personal why. There's nothing wrong with talking about your personal life. I think it's a wonderful thing to do. So talk about your personal life, talk about your business life, okay? Now, you're going to have 3 internal dialogues when you're building your network, okay? And Jason Jimenez is a dear friend of mine, and we had developed, some of you might know him. Jason and I had developed years ago, before Landing Big Wells was even in existence, was a network club. And so I took my networking, Your Way to Wealth, and I kind of integrated it in. And then Jason also integrated some of his things like the spider web effect and things like that. Another thing that Jason's big on is the 3 internal dialogues in building your network, which is your right, left, and center. Okay, so 3 things. One is, how can you be of service? Who can be of service to you? And how can you be of service to me? So that's where this gets tricky with the Owwll app, because sometimes I think it's all about me, me, but you want to give, to quote Grant Cardone. You got to be a giver, guys. And I've been saying this forever, okay? It's collaboration, not competition. And when I got onto the Clubhouse app and people were saying, oh, the big trend, we're all about collaboration, not competition. I'm like, I've been doing that for 30 years. You guys are a little late to the game. I'm sorry if you guys were just like pulling each other's hair to get the business, but as an event planner, as someone in the hospitality industry, knowing that somebody could be working as the top catering sales manager at the Ritz-Carlton, and then the top convention sales manager at another city's Ritz-Carlton, and then they move over to the Four Seasons, and then they become an event planner, and then they become my client. Okay, everyone is a potential client, and everyone is a collaborator. And something that to think about is partnering. You're partnering with your clients. You're not throwing information at them. So that are some of the things and some of the tips that I advise. Another thing is, DeMarcus, thank you so much for saying it's a great training, your doll face. Another thing that I recommend is a CRM. So a CRM, which I've been researching CRM. So I do HubSpot, I do this, I've got so many, Diggably, all that stuff. Like I have all these people, Jose, all these people who have their own that they're making and white labeling and all that jazz. But you don't have to invest that money. You could just do an Excel or a spreadsheet of any kind and have the last name. Always do, by the way, event planner spreadsheet tip, as someone who has been doing printing of invitations and electronic invitations for decades. Always separate out the first name and the last name. And that's going to help you too when you're doing like MailChimp or whatever your email newsletters or your e-drops or whatever it may be, is separate out that first name and that last name, because when you do that, it's easier to upload it and it doesn't call somebody by their last name. Nothing I hate more than being called Hurley or Beth, which is my middle name. It's because they didn't properly enter it into the cells. So separate those things out and separate out the email, the phone number, their website, notes, and have notes. And then you can always sort the data easily. And then you can always save as and upload it as a CSV, upload it and export it however you see fit. So you don't have to have a fancy CRM. You can do it that way. You can do it in your phone. Paul Dietrich is amazing because he knows LinkedIn really well. He can help you with sorting out your LinkedIn and downloading your contacts from LinkedIn, which I didn't even know was doable until I met him. I think it's Paul, right? Paul, first name. So taking notes of the people that you're talking to on Owwll is great, because the other way is I'm going back and I'm like, oh crap, you know what? I'm guilty because I'm cooking food, I'm driving a car, I'm not writing anything down. When I'm talking to people in the Owwll app, I'm multitasking. I'm a single mom, right? I'm working, I'm doing, I'm shaking. But now all you have to do is go into your call history or your bonuses and your payments and all that, and it'll tell you all the people that you've spoken to, right? So you can just go back there and you can retroact it. And if you didn't get information from someone, you can say, hey, Connie, I know we spoke. Thanks, Brian, for the 5-minute warning. Hey, Connie, I know that we spoke a long time ago and my life changes were a little crazy and I didn't get your information down. Let's have a recap and let's jump on Owwll and talk again. Let me get your information again. Okay. So I'm going to take some questions now because I have 5 minutes left. Did I talk too fast? James, you have such a great smile and I only see it on a photo. I want to see it in real life. He's
I
in
will
hiding.
ask a question
Okay,
if no
Jason.
one's stepping up, because I always think that most people struggle with actually just not having a call to action to their business. When you spoke about it earlier about like keeping it so simple, and people always move to just talking too much about what they do. They list too many things that they do. So can you just share some knowledge about like if we all are in the generation of having 25 million income streams, right? It's like I'm a podcaster, I do this, I do that. And I feel like, you know, people struggle with saying, okay, even though I do all that, it's not good to list all that. You don't want to be everything to everyone. And just share some feedback on how to just like keep it super simple on their profile. And then when they're speaking to people, because if you can't tell that message, you're going to get nothing. You're going to go through 20, 30 phone calls with zero results, be unhappy and blame it on Owwll, which we see, versus having that self-responsibility that you could have got these 20 meetings on LinkedIn or Instagram, the same results would occur versus, you know, someone like yourself, like your ratio goes through the roof when you have those 20 calls.
Yeah. So that's a great question, Jason. And I totally agree with you. And James is sweating right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing it when he's done his workout. So I will say that the expertise section is excellent because it helps with the searching feature, I believe. I'm getting a nod of a yes from Brian, so I'm going with yes because he's our expert on the app. Thank you, Jason, for the thumbs up. So when you're doing your expertise, you can create your own, which I do customize my own, but you can also use the ones that are pre-existing. Hopefully in the future, I won't have to uncheck all of them to start over to have the first one that's showing up and I can move them around because I have to like X them all out and bring it back in. So my tip would be your first like 3 to 4 things that you have on there are your main services or things that you provide or identify you. So for me, it's like retreats, events, coaching, consulting. That pretty much locks me in. Yes, I've had a podcast. I had Camcast, you know, but that was for my other business and a nonprofit, and that was different. That was helping, you know, people become entrepreneurs, kids and teenagers, and people overcoming adversity and becoming entrepreneurs. But I don't, and I put that I'm a podcaster, but that's like way down on the list because I don't have a new podcast right now. I just have the one that's I'm paying Simplecast to keep going. So that's not going to be my main focus. The question is, where do you want to offer value and where do you want to get referrals for right now? And that's going to be your first 4 things. So that's the best way to show what you do. And it's always, there's always going to be character minimization, maximization. So you have so many characters. If you have to copy all and plop it in ChatGPT and say, put this in 150 characters, then do that. And then copy and paste and edit it that way and try to be more concise. Does that answer your question, Jason?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. Steve, you have a question?
Yeah. So, well, just a couple comments. So first off, pivoting, we'll talk about pivoting. So I think I'm going to probably actually, I haven't seen any kitchen designers on the Owwll app. You know, I did about 12 to $13 million in sales in kitchen design, previously before I retired. So I might actually take your advice on that. Because I don't really see anybody on the app that even talks about it. I know we all go through, you know, high-end luxury sale remodeling, which is where, you know, Sub-Zero Wolf, everything that I sold. I mean, taking people's plans and helping them plan their dream. I mean, that's what I did for, you know, 20 plus years and did, you know, anywhere from 12 million to $30 million a year in sales doing that. So, you know, number one across the country. So, with that being said, I'm actually interviewing for a job with Fuse Appliance down in Florida. So I'm interviewing with their CEO on Monday. So I might be coming down that way soon, but Jason, down your way, they've got like 4 new showrooms they're opening up. So,
Nice.
And they're interested in bringing me in. So the other thing I was going to say is, you know, on the CRM, Samara, you know, I like the idea, and this is just me personally. I've tried that approach before with Microsoft Excel, and it got ugly, like really quick. So I mean, I've seen CRMs that are out there just for everybody, $10 a month, you know, that you can find. That what I like about it is that they do like the notifications. They'll ping you like, hey, you haven't talked to you didn't follow up with this person. It allows you to dump them into different piles, right? Like, nope, I don't want to talk to this person no more. Clear them out, you know. So I think the investment, just personally, it's worth 10 or 12 bucks to do that. And it'll save you a lot of time. Just my 2 cents, you know, versus doing the Excel. Cause I've done it and it just, you make one little mistake and you can, you know what I mean? And it doesn't dump the information in, or it's garbage in, garbage out, but just my 2 cents on that. So
100%. I agree with you there. And I'm with you on a couple things that you said. So I want to just address them. First off, about the CRM, I agree. And I did recommend that because it's a free version, but you could also use Google Docs, which you can go back in history with a lot of them. So if you make a mistake, because Google Docs auto saves, which makes me cray, you can actually go back all the way in history. But I just wanted to make sure I gave an option that didn't cost anything. But yes, there's a ton of CRMs out there. The next thing I want to address with you is that we need to talk offline, because as I just became a 10X business coach with Grant Cardone, I went to a business summit in Tempe. I live in Arizona, recently, and it was all kitchen, construction, builder, all of that. So I have so many people to introduce you to. And to answer Jason's question and tie in what Steve said, is your call to action. So your call to action that Jason asked about is, what is the way to do that? And this is a suggestion that I have for Steve. Here's Steve. He's looking for a job. He's got all this years of experience. Like, oh my God, he has so much information in his head. And where is all that information? It's in his head. Thank you for keeping it in your head, nice and safe for us. But what if you considered having 3 offers done for you, done with you, do it yourself, I'll teach you. And so when you're having a call to action, simplify it. But Steve has so much information in his head, and there's so many people out there that need to learn his skills and learn about his contacts and his connections, and they may not be on the Owwll app. And that's okay, because I'm on the Owwll app, and I've redone kitchens, and Laura's redone kitchens, and Paul's redoing his kitchen right now, or Paul's brother's redoing his kitchen, whatever, maybe I'm making this up. The point is that that's where the spider web effect comes in. Everybody knows everybody who knows everybody. And because I've moved to so many cities, I was a submarine naval spouse. I'm from Baltimore. I lived all up and down the East Coast, Hawaii, Houston, Vancouver, British Columbia. I was a oil, gas, construction expat spouse. I've been an event planner for 30 years, corporate, social, and nonprofit. Having all the connections and all the people in my head, in my world, could help you in your world. So that would be my advice for you. And I love hearing that. And you and I should definitely connect offline. So great to meet all of you here. James, I hope you're having a great workout. Jason,
Cool.
over to you.
Yes, I'm going to close this down for this evening. Thank you all for joining us. A lot of people here are going to be going live on the Owwll app right afterwards. You want to talk to Samara one-on-one and continue the conversation, go find her on the platform. Yep, and we're going to do these every 2 weeks moving forward and really scale. So refer your friends, because as you know, a lot of people don't read newsletters, so they don't even see this. Like, oh, I would have went on there. So just start inviting friends, especially referrals, because most of them see the app, but then they freeze. There's so much new technology out there, and most people just don't see the value until someone like you is on the other phone line. It's like, you got to try it this way. Join the tutorial. You're going to see such amazing benefits. So real quick to Brian, and then I have a 7 o'clock meeting, so I have to run.
Thanks for joining us, Jason. And just real quick to the rest of you, I have done almost 1,700 phone calls through the app, and I figured out ways that you can actually turn those calls into clients. And I found ways you can get clients on demand. So if that interests you, or you want to figure out how to turn those conversations into cash flow, just give me a call. I'll work with you one-on-one to help you do that. It's not, rocket science, but it's just something that we need to tailor to you and your business. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, Samara. Great training. We appreciate you so much and the time that you shared with us and with everybody here. I will try to make this recording available on Facebook and wherever else Jason wants to post it. So thank you all for joining us. Have an awesome rest of your week. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Brian.
Talk to you later.
I'm going live.